right. Hey. All right. Let's see something. All right. Yeah, last but not least, hey, what's up, by the way? It's your boy Derek, aka Dashy, and I am doing laundry. And this is probably going to be the last one I do this year because I'm going to be doing some holiday traveling and such. So, yeah, that's always fun. Laundry time and then content creation. I'm like just about to upload onto Twitch. So content creating journey. And let's see. There we go. Hello, welcome in. Thank you for stopping by. Yes. All right, so let me go ahead. I'm done with that. And it is. I'm just gonna make sure. Okay, it is that one. And then first training. All right, cool. So yes, I am of course doing laundry. You know how it works. I do the laundry. I talk with you guys and all that jazz. And yeah, so if you have any you want to ask or bring up, sure. Honestly, it was like I didn't know what I want to talk about today. I've been kind of like I said, me and the wife we're gonna be going back down to the States, so that way I can go visit family and friends. Hello, welcome in, Terry, Gary Newman. It's good to meet you and such. But yeah, in any case, yeah, and like I said, I was just like, what do I talk about? Like, how do I go about today? Like, at first I thought maybe just like be quiet or whatever, but I decided, welcome in, Liz. I decided to simply talk about, I guess, my journey as a content creator so far. I'm not a professional, but I'm hoping that maybe one day I could be, that I could prosper from it. But until then, this is the best I could do. And so, yeah. And by the way, yes, I do roll up we are rolling up, but that's because, like I said, we're going to be packing and such to head down to the States. So therefore, I got to, we're trying to make room and such. So yeah, this is a technique we learned, and it's really good. Anywho, thank you for the likes, Tyra. Thank you for stopping by. Yes. Thank you. And thank you, Kyla, for stopping by, for watching. But yes, so where do we even begin talking about content stuff? Well, I mean, let me be real, I've always wanted to do content. Like, I always wanted to make YouTube videos. Like I still want to make video essays, like some serious stuff. But at the moment, welcome in. Welcome in, guys. Thank you for stopping by. That's really cool. Yeah. In any case, yeah, I've always wanted to do stuff, but I will admit that I hindered myself. Part of it was life. Part of it was just because, I was always like, oh, I gotta wait for the right thing. I gotta wait. I have the right equipment, and to some extent, some of that was kind of true. Especially for, like, say, for instance, when I was doing, I think honestly, when it came to, for instance, like doing Twitch, for instance, like doing the game stuff. Yeah, like, of course, like, you got to have better hardware and such. Which is why at the end of 2023, I went to go grab me a Asus laptop. And actually, I didn't even get the Asus laptop to stream at first. I actually got it because of the fact that I wanted to I just wanted to play some games that I couldn't play on my old laptop because my old laptop was really terrible. Thank you for stopping in. But yeah. And so but it was actually in January of last year where I started streaming because I was just like, you know what, why not? Like, if I got this computer and I got so much space and I can, play these games, why not stream? So I started doing that. Of course, I had a YouTube channel for a long time. Like, you would probably see on there, it will say something like, I've had it since 2014. And yeah, every so often I might upload a video maybe once every blue moon. I knew, like, for instance, when I was working on a TTRPG back in 2022, I was like uploading like shorts and I was like trying to promote myself, but I don't really consider that. Like, I guess there's some content. There's still some content. But then I just, like I said, like last year, like when I was doing the Twitch stuff, I was doing the, the gaming stuff. Then I started being like, well, I was recording on OBS. Welcome in. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you so much. Thank you for the likes and whatnot. Hopefully you get a rose on there. But yeah, the one thing is I like I said, I started uploading my video game videos onto or my streaming videos onto YouTube. And then after a minute, I think I was just like, I made like a video maybe once or twice. And then I remember one day I was, so I was doing that for a long while, just uploading videos and such. And I started getting subscribers like crazy last year. Because I actually remember if I really think about it, I think I started with around like 33, or I want to say like around 30 subscribers on YouTube last year, at the beginning of last year. And then now it's at to like 3,000, so that's 3,100. So that's really cool. And I think what really helped with my YouTube was I was teaching, I would teach an anime drawing class during the summers and such. And it was like last summer, I remember I was like, I always watch YouTube shorts of people, making, making videos of their drawing, whatever. And my friends are always encouraging me. They're like, "Hey man, you should draw. You should like record yourself, blah blah." But I was like, I don't know. And I honestly was like, I didn't even have like, I felt like I didn't even have the right equipment. Well, just one day I remember it was the werewolf one. I had done I did a video where I had colored it and I was gonna ink it. And so then I was like, you know what, how about I record myself inking it? And so I actually did that. I just put my phone on top of something and then I was like, all right, hit record, and I recorded myself. And I remember like it was like kind of long, so I did the long version at first. And my friend, he was like, "Hey man, like, it was kind of, it was kind of boring or whatever because it was like so long and kind of muddled, blah blah." Well, then I had gotten U-Cut, and I'm trying to remember, did I do stuff beforehand? I think I did some things a little bit beforehand, but I had gotten U-Cut on my phone, and pretty much I recorded myself, or I edited the video, so I made it like super, go, make the speed up go up and all that jazz. And I turned it into a short, and then I was just like, okay, why not publish it as a short? So I did that, and I started noticing I was getting views, and so I started doing that. And I started recording myself making, videos of, of course, drawing and such. Sometimes the only issue though was, and I think it was probably because of my old phone, which I'll get to in a moment. But the phone I had, it was like very little space. So every time I would record, it wouldn't save it for some strange reason. Like it would say it's recording, but then it was like it just went out. So for a minute I was like struggling with that. And that was infuriating. But that was the thing with that. And then going into TikTok, actually what happened with TikTok was I had my sister actually, because I was posting videos and I was posting like shorts on YouTube. And I remember her saying like, you should post on TikTok. You should make a TikTok. And I thought about it. Thank you for joining in, by the way, Bear 2708. And I was just like, okay. So I created an account on TikTok, and I'm posting stuff on TikTok. And I actually remember a lot of the videos I had done beforehand. I tried making my own things. Then I was doing the whole I would use the template stuff, like those kind of videos where they'll have like a clip of somebody, and you put a background or whatever, and you write over it. So I was doing that for a minute. But one of them was I remember doing, and and it's still on TikTok. It's like my highest one. Part of it is because I'm playing towards it. Was this? Well, actually, I think that one's gone. Because or the audio is gone. It was this one with Queso, and it was like I used his audio. He was like, where he's like, "Oh my gosh!" And he's like screaming all that jazz, and it was me, getting up, and I think I put in the caption something like, when your roommate is a streamer and such. And I remember that blowing up, and like I said, part of it was because I was promoting my videos. That's one thing I will say definitely is I don't know how to go about, saying this, because it's kind of like, I guess what I'll say is to each their own. Like, if you want to do this, you can. I personally would recommend not promoting your stuff, because that was just a waste of money and such. And yeah, it got me some traction. I will say that. Or I will say this, if you do it, one, make sure you do it on one that's gonna get you views and gonna get you followers and such. And if you're gonna do that, And two, so if you, yeah, and then two, honestly, it just takes time, and you just find a niche. I think one of the issues I know I'm having as a creator is I tend to dabble in a whole lot of stuff. So, I do like art videos, and then sometimes I'll do, hold on, give me a second, because I am not liking this. One of the cameras is kind of acting lame. Okay, there we go. It was like for my YouTube. But yeah. Anywho, what was I saying? Oh, I dabbled in a lot of stuff. I dabbled in, like I said, I did like comedy stuff, I did art stuff, I do video game stuff. And so I was kind of like all over the place. And I kind of still am. And one of the reasons for that is because I sort of wanted my channel to feel like a variety hour type show. Like you didn't know what was gonna happen, So you're just like, oh, like, what's he gonna do today? Like, is he gonna do this or is he gonna do that? Blah blah blah. And I remember, like I said, one major advice I was getting over and over. And my word of advice to you is if multiple people are giving you the same advice, it's most likely that's the advice you need to take. But I remember being told over and over and over, like, you need to have a niche. Like, you should start with a niche. Start with something that, is very familiar and blah, blah, blah. That, pretty much, you kind of, you do one thing and you stick to one thing at the very start. And then when you start blowing up, when you start getting bigger, then go ahead and venture out. But I was very much like, I don't want to do that because like I said, one, I wanted my channel to feel like a variety hour, and two, I just felt like I didn't want to become like a one-trick pony. Because the thing is that I love doing a lot of the stuff I talk about. Like I said, like, the art stuff, the video game stuff, the Christian stuff, try to make video essays, stream it, blah, blah, blah. I love all of that. And I don't want to just like limit myself, I want to actually venture out. I want to showcase, like, I'm having a good time. That's why I put on my profile, you will see it says, a dude who just likes to have a fun and blessed time. And I mean that. Like, I just like to have fun and feel blessed for having fun, and have other people have fun. And that's always been my case, My intention every time whenever I make a video, or most of the time when I make a video, is, I'm gonna have fun. Now, if I have like something serious to talk about, then it's like, here's something serious. But aside from that, welcome in Tree Hugger Gina. I was talking about my creative journey. But yes, snap, I just, yes, I like to have fun on here. I like to make videos. I like to stream and all of that. But I could see it kind of hurt me a little bit because of the fact that, and it kind of sucks, but it's the algorithm, they pretty much just have you do, whatever, or they push out certain content. It feels very biased at times. Like, well, we'll push this out, but we're not going to push this out, and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah. And then, like, sometimes it'd be like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand. But yeah, so, I got into a lot of stuff. And on YouTube, I remember, it's kind of interesting. I remember, like I said, at first, I started out, I think, with like 30 like maybe 33, 35 people, whatever, on YouTube at the beginning of 2024. Or maybe I had 50. I don't even know. But like I remember I was just just and I'm so grateful to God for it, by the way, and grateful to you guys, those of you who have like followed, subscribed. How I started, like I said, I started growing, and it's just interesting how when you get to the 100 mark, then you're like, whoa, wow, okay, well, let's see if I can get to 500, and then I got to 500. And I remember it was just like, okay, like towards the end of last year, I felt like I was gonna get 5. I was being realistic, by the way. I felt like I was gonna only get like 500 at the end of last year, because I was like I said, like I'm just like, I'm not really doing much. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get like 1,000, all that. But once I hit the 500, like I think in the fall, then I was like, oh, Sam, well then, how about 1,000? How about we get to 1,000 subscribers? And then lo and behold, like at the end of 2024, I wound up with 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I think about 2,000 people on TikTok. Oh, and a little over 200 people on Twitch. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's been kind of interesting. Speaking of the Twitch stuff, I remember I was going through well, I was doing this one thing for a while. It's like a trick. A lot of people do it. I know, sub for sub. The whole like, I sub for you and you sub for me. But after a minute, I didn't like that, because one, I'm over here, I'm over here subbing for people I wouldn't even probably normally sub to, and honestly don't even care for the content. And then two, they're subscribing to my stuff, but they're not, watching or supporting. So I, after a while, I just like, I stopped. And I was gaining subscribers, on there, just, followers, whatever, just normal. I will say one thing that did discourage me, like when doing Twitch, was like I try to get affiliate, and one of the goals is like average viewer, and that one has been killing me. Like trying to get an average viewer of like 3 or 4 people on Twitch and such, and it just got to a point where I was just like, dude, I can't do this. Like it was kind of infuriating. And like, don't get me wrong, I love making content and such. But sometimes, yeah, I am trying to be like, okay, I want to try to grow. I do want to make, the channels better and such. And I'm constantly trying to learn. But it's like, if it's not getting me anywhere, then it just feels like, man, it's like there's no point. Like, what was the point of doing this? And so, yeah, sometimes, like on TikTok, on YouTube, for instance, it's interesting that at the end of last year, I had 1,000, and I could say at least I had a double, even though my end goal was like 5,000. But hey, it was still interesting that I got 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yay! But the one thing though is that like, need the views and such, and all that. So yeah, it kind of feels like you're growing, and I will say that sometimes on these you feel like you're growing, but there's gonna be times, and that's why I made that one video about on YouTube. I have this one about you're progressing or you are not progressing. And that one, I talk about the fact that, yeah, you are growing in a way, but, yeah, sometimes it feels like you're not doing so because you're looking at like certain things, you're looking at certain elements. Well, I'm getting followers, but I'm not getting views, or I'm getting a lot of views, but I'm not getting a lot of followers, blah, 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 all that. And so, yeah, it can feel a little discouraging after a while. But then sometimes you just like, you know what, just get up and do it. I remember one time I made a video. It was while I was working out. It was last year, and I had made this video about, I was talking about, hey, if you want to create stuff, just create stuff. Like, most people, they don't have like the high end equipment. I still don't. I just have my phone. I have some cameras, some mics here and there, some programs. I don't even have stuff like Adobe and all that jazz. But what matters is you just make something. And one of the things I brought up in that video. Give me a second, man. Anyways, one of the things that I brought up in there was, you gotta learn to stop making don't make excuses. If you want to do it, just do it. If you want to create something, go create it. There's nothing stopping you. You can literally go, you can literally Google or research a lot of the stuff. Like I've done that. I've done a lot of research, reading stuff about how to upload, how to create certain things. What do you do with certain programs and such, all that. And I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure things out. But I remember I had this one person who responded, and she was like, well, my friend can't because like of this and blah, blah, blah. And on the one hand, I said, if you want to. I didn't say everybody has to do this. If you want to create stuff, just do it. And I was saying that because of the fact that I have been there. Like I said at the beginning, I at first, I wanted to do stuff. I could have made more stuff, but I made excuses. Like I said, oh, I don't have the right equipment, or I don't have the right stuff, blah, blah, blah. I can't do this. I can't do that. I have work. I have all this. And it's like, dude, just, if you want to do it, just do it. All right? Like, it's not like anybody's putting, nobody's threatening you to do it. If you want to do it, just go make a video, do something. And you're not gonna, sometimes, just gonna be real, sometimes, I don't know, I can't explain that algorithm. I feel like every person who I've watched try to explain the algorithm and all that jazz, oh, Sam, it's like My Neighbor Totoro. Go check it. Anyways, it's sorry, I got distracted with that. Like I was like, oh, My Neighbor Totoro. What was I just saying? I was saying about, let's see, maybe. I was saying that I can't really explain much about the algorithm, but sometimes the truth of the matter is a lot of us aren't gonna be making it big. There's some people there's some people I've watched where I'm like, why is this person not up there? Like, this person should have like 100,000 subscribers, or this person should have like 1,000,000 subscribers by now, and all of that. It's just like, it's just what it is. Like, some videos get pushed out, some videos don't. I even see that with some of my stuff. I remember this year, for instance, I remember I used to do on TikTok. I used to do a lot of the game stuff, like the effects, and like make a video and then like whatever. And I actually remember, I feel like that kind of helped me on YouTube a bit, because I started doing like stuff based off of the animes and such. And I remember like at first I was just like have me playing, but then I started doing like little edits like with songs. And I remember this one I did with it was Bald Goku versus Goku Black. And I did a thing where I I played it multiple times, but I played it in different ways. And so it's like, first scenario, this, second scenario, this. And for some reason, that actually just that kind of blew up some. And so I was like, you know what? Why don't I do that? So I started doing more stuff like that, where I'll show here's different outcomes of these games. Because one of the things I noticed is that a lot of those creators that will show just them winning and such. But I was like, why not show, both? You show yourself winning, what happens when you lose, or what happens if you don't do anything, and all of that. And so that was okay. But all that being said, this year I had one. It was like Naruto versus Obito, and I could not tell you for the life of me why, but I think that one had reached it's like it's my most watched video on there, my most watched short. It got I think up to 80K. I could try to look it up. Matter of fact, I guess I'll try it real quick. Let's see if it'll let me. I know I'm recording on YouTube. Give me a second. I'm while I'm gonna look at YouTube. It's go to your videos. Yeah, just do it. Okay. And try to see this. Welcome in, by the way. Thank you for stopping by. Sorry, I'm just looking up the YouTube stuff. And at least the new one I did is getting some traction. Nice. Views. Sorry, I'm over here I'm trying to figure out I don't want to see my channel. That's it. I just want to see how many popular. Yeah, it got up to it was 874K views, and it just happened. I remember I posted it, I think that afternoon. And it was at the time I was working and I was doing working in a remote job for television. And I happened to go on my phone after a break, and I saw I remember it was because usually sometimes the highest at that time was maybe around 20K, at best, getting 20K views, which is still good, which is still okay. But that video, for some reason, was getting up there. And it was what? And I remember I got so many subscribers from that. And I don't even know if they were all bots or whatever, but that just happened. And I was, like I said, I was just blown away by it. I was like, what is this? How did this happen? Blah, blah, blah. And it was like, to me, it was a major blessing. It was like, wow. Like, I can't believe this. Welcome in. But yeah, and I was just, like I said, I was blown away by that. I have yet to have something like that since. But sometimes I do notice, like, for instance, like, the TikTok, there have been times where, like, okay, for instance, I would, like, I'll post something and it may be like the most I might get is like, typical 200, 300 videos, 300 views or something. And it's like, all right. But then, like, I've kind of noticed as of late, sometimes I would get, like, and without even promoting, like, I'll get, like, over 1,000 and such. Or some people still watch certain ones. There's and I'd be like, oh, okay, like, I wasn't expecting that, but all right then, cool. And yeah. Oh yeah, and I do have the Instagram too, which usually what I've done mostly, and if you see my channels, you kind of know, you may see, like, if you go on all three of them, you'll notice, like, I'll post, I'll make a video on TikTok, or sometimes I might just make a random video, and I'll post it on YouTube, and then if usually if I'm on TikTok, I'll post a video, I'll make a video, and I'll download that video. Then I'll put it onto YouTube, and then I'll put it onto Instagram. And yeah, I think it's like, it's kind of helped out some. And there's been times, like, for instance, like, what? Like, I'm getting this many views. What? This is crazy. Blah, blah, blah. Wow. Like, so many people are talking and such. And I'll say, like, sometimes a lot of that stuff, it feels like, lightning in a bottle, you know what I mean? Like, okay, anyways. Yeah, but yeah, hello. Thank you for stopping by. But yeah, one of the things that happened at the end of last year, by the way, I mentioned earlier about my phone, like, I had to go get a new phone, was I dealt with a mugging and such. And, that was like, I was pretty upset because the guy, he tried to, like, rob me, but I threw him down and such. And then, I didn't know what else. So I ran inside and, like, he managed to grab my phone. And such. Oh, all right, babe. Thanks. The wife's like, I'm gonna get some KFC. That's cool. But yeah, one of the things is that I I had to go get a new phone, and that actually I feel like really helped me this year, especially with my content creating, because, like I said before, my last phone, I was struggling with things like, I didn't have enough space. So, like, for instance, like, I wanted to have Twitch on my phone, but I couldn't do that. And I almost had to argue, like, do I want Twitch or do I want Discord? Because sometimes I'll, like, post on Discord. And then, like I said, sometimes when I recorded myself, like, especially when I was doing, like, recording myself drawing, it would disappear. So it was just but blessing in disguise, because, hey, like I said, I got a new phone and I got one that had a good amount of space, so I can be able to do a lot of this stuff. But yeah, and I gotta say, on Twitch, I have been slacking on there. I saw my thing. Well, I saw my, like, review thing, and it talked about I only streamed for like 10 hours this year. And it's like, man, that's crazy. It almost feels like, in all fairness, though, I don't know. I just like, yeah, like, um, it's kind of been hard for me to decide what games I want to play because one of the things is that I don't really get a lot of new games. Part of it is because finances and all that jazz. And then like one of the things I realized too is I don't have a lot of space. So I'm hoping that for Christmas I could get an external hard drive. But anywho, it's just a matter of I've yeah, it's just like what do I want to play? What do I want to stream? Do I even have time to stream and such? Those thoughts come to mind. And yeah. I've also learned like I don't know what happened with Inktober, and I apologize for those of you who probably seen my art stuff and have been wondering like, oh, where's your art stuff? I did the Inktober, and I don't know why, but after that I just got burnt out of drawing. But it's weird because I want to draw. I do want to draw more, and I want to create stuff. Like I want to create games, like board games, video games, and such. And I think it would be cool to record that stuff. But I have so many ideas, and it's just difficult to, put down on, excuse me, or rather, zero in on one particular idea. Oh, by the way, thank you for stopping by. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you can, please like and follow and all that. Or share. I always tell people share the love. I used to say that a lot. Share the love. Share and like let other people see. But yeah. In any case, yeah, I just I want to do a lot of stuff, but it's just like I don't know what to do. And honestly, like doing the laundry stuff kind of I can't remember if I did that during Inktober. I don't think I did. Because I had just got married and such, and trying to like we're trying to figure stuff out and blah blah blah. And at one point I'm just like I'm like, I don't know what I want to do, blah blah. And I remember like, was like, doing the laundry. And I was like, okay, gotta do this, blah blah blah. I was like, I kind of wanted motivation and such because it's one thing, when you fold laundry for yourself, and it's not like my wife wouldn't fold laundry. But I just figured like, I'll take up the task and for us both. And it's just like, what do I do? So that's why I decided, hey, why not do a live stream of it? And I did it on YouTube, and I was like, okay, do it on here, on these other things, keep doing it. Let's see. See, not in your fan club, but in the top 3 contributors. Oh, nice. Oh, you sent a rose. Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you, CD Babe. Like, that's really cool. I never got a rose on here. That's really awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you for the bear. Wow. That's really cool. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the Tom Christmas. Awesome. But yeah. So yeah, like I said, I started doing this and started having different conversations. Because the first one, I was just like, yeah, I'll talk during it. But I was like, I don't know what to talk about. So I started doing a thing where, okay, I'll have a particular discussion and such. And I've done one for anime, I've done one for games and such, like biblical stuff, blah blah blah. So yeah, and that's why today I was just like, talk about content creating. And this will probably be my last one this year, because I mentioned earlier, me and the wife, we're gonna be of course, we're gonna be traveling um, for the holidays, and who knows? I say it maybe because maybe I might do it at a different time. I might do it while we're on vacation. I don't know, but I know this will be a last one here in this house for this year. But yeah, and I really enjoy doing these, and that's why, for instance, like, and I figure maybe like I said, I'm not a big time creator, obviously not. You can see my follower count, subscribe count, and all that jazz. Um, Even the views and such, but the thing is that I know there's people out there who probably want to start somewhere, and they're just like, where do I go? So that's why I say, like, grab a phone and just record yourself, man. TikTok, you can literally use a sound. I'm trying to figure out how to do this one. I'm just gonna do this. Sounds like it's one of my wife's things. I was like, how do I do this? Like, what? Anyways. Yeah. But yeah. So like I said, that's been my journey of, like, starting out very small, not doing, like, literally after having a YouTube account for like 10 years. I think it just took, getting a laptop and streaming that kind of just was like, just do something. And that was the thing too, like the streaming. I learned a lot with that. One thing I will say is I tried to do this one thing where I used to try to have a strict schedule, and I gotta have one. I seriously do. But one of the things I tried to do was, okay, I'll try to play games from, let's say, 2 in the afternoon to like 6 in the evening. And the idea was I will play these games. Like, I'll play this number of games, blah, 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 maybe 30 minutes a piece or an hour a piece. One of the things I learned doing that was some games, yes, you could do that. You can, play a variety of games if you want to, especially if you're trying to keep it in a strict schedule. Other games, like especially like Ogre Tactics or like, any story-based game, like JRPGs in general, most of the time, do not do that. Like, just some games are best left by themselves. You just play by yourself. Don't sweat it. Don't whatever. Just play by yourself. Just play that by itself. But yeah, and so I had to start learning doing that. One of the things I liked about, I got to get back to it because there are some games I have, those rage bait games. Some of those are pretty interesting. I still have to beat Super Meat Boy. I am still stuck on that game. I'm in the last area of that game. I'm just like, I just been struggling. But yeah. And as far as, like I said, a lot of the content, like, I want to create, like, create on YouTube or create on Twitch and all that. Like the YouTube stuff, like I said, I want to do video essays. I do want to do that. Like, I want to, make videos about certain things. Like, I even thought about like making something about rage bait games. One of the things I got to do though, as I do need to start recording my games. I don't know. That is a scary process at times because but I just got to do it. It's got to play a game and record myself doing it, and that's that. And I've said it before. And that's what I'll say again, especially for those of you just coming in. It is, if you want to do that, if you want to grow, if you want to make stuff, then you're just going to have to do it. You can't, and don't worry about certain things. Like I said, it took me a long time to finally start streaming, start making games. And I probably could have done it on my old laptop. But I just held myself back. And I made all kinds of excuses. Like I said, oh, I don't have this. Oh, I don't have that. Oh, I don't have, the right equipment. Or, oh, I'm not skilled, like editing, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then finally I just started doing it. And I was like, oh, I'm actually okay with this. And one cool thing I learned too, by the way, when I started editing my art videos, for instance, was I actually like editing. I know sometimes people, it's like, it's draining or whatever. But I like editing. I think editing is pretty cool. I think it's really fun. And I wouldn't mind doing it for people. But yeah. But another thing is that, part of the reason why it's like kind of a little hard is that, as I'm trying to adjust to my new life, I gotta go get something, and like I'm essentially trying to figure out how to become, resident in a place, even though I'm a tourist, and trying to find something like, a remote job so that will keep me stable and, keep me afloat and help me and my wife. And yeah, it's just, that's why sometimes, I'll tell her, it's like, hey, I hope like I could blow up in one of these things, or I hope I could blow up, here, on Twitch or on YouTube or on TikTok, which I'm streaming all at the same time, by the way. And oh, the food's here once you're ready. Okay, babe, thank you. I'm about done with this, nearly done. But yeah. But it's like, it's not, it's not, I can't force people to like, help me get to a thing, it's like, whether you believe it or not, it's to God's will, like if he wants people to subscribe, he wants people to do whatever, like he will have that happen. But maybe it's the case of like, no, and maybe you can just make stuff on the side, and that's okay. Now, I will say content creating has been a good. Thank you for stopping by, Alayomi. I will say it has been, how to put it? It's been eye-opening in the sense that it's a good outlet. Streaming has really been a good outlet for me. Video, like making videos, like has been a good outlet for me. It helps with, when I'm going through stuff, and believe it or not, sometimes, I could have the roughest days, or I could be like, whatever, and I'll admit, like, then I'll admit that, like, sometimes I'll be depressed, sometimes I'll be, extremely angry or whatever. But then I go and, I'll make a short, I'll find something that I think it might be funny, and I'll post it and see, maybe it will be funny, maybe this will make my wife laugh, maybe this will, if this makes me laugh, or if I'm okay with it, then I'll post it. And yeah. But until then, yeah, it's just like I said, it's a good outlet, and I recommend that to other people too. You know that if there was a reason, if I had to give a reason to make videos, it's like I said, it's a good creative outlet. It's something. It's the most I could do these days. Um, Even though, like I said, I'm struggling with getting back to drawing. But I guess one thing too is like sometimes I wonder, like, what do you guys want from me? And that's why I'm okay with like, speaking about these things, whatever. I'm just like, hey, like, if you're into it, if you like the stuff that I'm posting, let me know. Hey, I like these type of videos. Hey, I like this type of video. Oh. TikTok for some reason. Well, I guess because it's been like about an hour now. So they're like, wait a minute, man, you still on? But yeah. In case. Like I was saying. Yeah, I'm up for like suggestions. I'm up for whatever. Just let me know. Like, and you just be like, hey, Daft or Derek or whatever. Hey, can you like make this kind of thing? And I'll try my best. There is actually some requests I've had on TikTok, which I gotta get back to. I've got to do. I've been meaning to do, and I just was like, yeah, I just haven't done that. So I guess even at times I don't take up like too many requests. Well, thank you for stopping by. But yeah, it's like as far as streaming, again, I should probably get back to Hollow Knight. It's been ages. It's been a long time since I played Hollow Knight. Like I think, and it's even on recording. I think the last time I actually played Hollow Knight was maybe last summer. It was like, man, it's been a long while. Like, but yeah, and I would also say streaming was actually a good outlet for me. Like as when I was especially as a teacher, like it was really good. Just just doing that, especially after like school and such. I would just be like, man, I'd be so. And I was just like, what, I'm gonna sit down and play games and record myself doing. And I think recording myself doing things was kind of a good motivation for me to work on stuff. So like for instance, I would have like I said, like sometimes I didn't even play certain games for a while. I had like so many games on my in my Steam account. And I was just like, man, I've been playing this, and I bought this or whatever, or I started playing this, but I don't really care for it, blah blah blah. And it's just like, you know what? Why not just record yourself doing it? Just play it. And so I started doing that. I just started recording myself playing these games. I beat Cuphead because of that. Like I actually managed to get to Cuphead because I was like I don't know, it's something about like playing a game by yourself. You're just like you just don't. I don't know, like you just don't really care to do it after a while, and so yeah, you're trying to get yourself up there. But yeah, overall though, I think I will say right now it has been such a blessing. It's been such a blessing, how far I've gotten. And I know a lot of people, they would not appreciate that. They wouldn't appreciate where they're at. They wouldn't be upset. They would be upset. And I'm in, like, I do. Sometimes, like you said, it upsets me at times. Like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not like growing, blah blah. I'm not getting a lot of views. Like, I'm not getting partners or blah blah blah. But you know what? That's okay. Because like I said, like, after a while you also just be like, man, I want to do this because I have fun. I want to do this because um I enjoy this. Um and yeah. So, and that's all that. I know I've been mostly talking and such, and I should have probably like said that you guys are open to the floor, like asking questions or whatever. But yeah. But yeah, I just need to like I said, I need to start getting back on certain things. But also I do have, my actual life, my life behind the camera, you know what I mean? Like, I do have like, things I gotta work on, and some of those things kind of help and lead into like my creations for this stuff. By the way, word of advice to anybody who does make videos and such. If you decide to, let's say have your coworkers, watch your stuff, if you invite them to do that, don't like, even if you're trying to make a video about like, you're not directly about them, but you say, about coworkers or, your bosses or whatever, don't make those kind of videos. Don't do that. Not when you're there. You know what I mean? Because there have been times I was like, oh my gosh, like I actually had to get rid of videos because of that. But it is what it is. And I think these are missing mates. So, oh well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna put these in here. Let me do one more check around. All right. Ko-Fi, sharing on Twitch. Okay. All that being said, I am done. I done all the clothes and such. And yeah. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for this year. I'm thankful to God for this year. And like I said, I don't know if this is gonna be my last one. It might be my last one for this year of doing the laundry stuff. But until then, I want to just, like I said, give you all a thank you. It means a lot. Even when like you only get one person watching on whatever platform, it means something. Because it just shows like, hey, somebody's interested, and I think that's what means a lot to a lot of creators. Hey, somebody was interested in something I made, and that's cool. And yeah, definitely like and share and all that jazz. Until then, like I said, take care and God bless. And this one, oh yeah, peace.